There are moments when you sit there listening to someone say something that numbs your chest. It is not exactly an insult, but it is enough to make you feel small and dismissed. They laugh, they talk, they walk away, and you stand there trying to stay calm while something inside you burns. I remember the first time that feeling hit me. It was during a meeting. I presented an idea I had prepared for weeks. When I finished, someone else repeated the same idea, only changing a few words. The whole room nodded, applauding as if it had never been said before. I stayed silent, forcing a smile, but inside I felt myself shrink. Not because I lost credit, but because I lost the feeling of being respected. That night I replayed the scene in my head again and again, imagining hundreds of ways to respond, thousands of lines I could have said to win it back. But then one question appeared. If I have to prove that I am worthy, then who is really in control? And I realized that reacting does not make us stronger, it only shows others that they have touched our emotions. The world teaches us to react to prove our worth. But Stoic philosophy teaches the opposite. Silence is not surrender, it is a way to maintain our inner sovereignty. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." And sometimes, the wisest reaction is no reaction at all. From that point, I started observing the people who bothered me. I've noticed that some people seem powerful only when we react to them. They need our anger to exist. Our outrage feels validated. However, when we remain silent, they lose their balance. When we walk away, they lose control. And when we can no longer be provoked, they become invisible. This video is not about revenge. It is about the art of silence, the 5 silent moves that make those who once disrespected you face themselves. Not through anger, but through calm. Not through words, but through absence. Before we begin, think of a moment when you were quietly dismissed in front of others. Maybe it was in a meeting, a conversation, or just a condescending look that left you speechless. How did you react? And if you could choose again, what would you do differently? Share your thoughts in the comments, not to complain, but to remind yourself, I do not need recognition, I only need peace. Because sometimes your silence is not just an answer, it is the first invitation to walk away from the places unworthy of your energy. And from that moment on, the Stoic journey begins, the journey of silent moves that carry unshakable power. Lesson 1. Walk away without explaining. There is a truth that everyone must eventually come to understand. Not everyone deserves your explanation. Some people listen only to argue, not to understand. I have been in many conversations like that, where every word I said only made the other person more certain of what they already believed. If I spoke more clearly, more gently, maybe they would finally understand me. But the more I tried, the more I felt like I was begging to be accepted. And when you have to beg to be understood, you lose a part of your dignity. One day, I realized that silence at times is the only response that still keeps your self-respect intact. Epictetus once said, "If someone harms you, do not add to the pain by continuing to engage with them." I learned that, not from books, but from sleepless nights after trying to prove I was right. Once, a close person told me, "I don't see you changing at all." In that moment, I didn't respond. I just smiled. Not because I agreed, but because I knew I no longer needed their approval. Walking away is not a sign of weakness, it is the clarity of someone who knows they have reached their limit. You do not leave because you are afraid, but because you understand that staying will only pull you further from yourself. When you choose silence, you do not lose. You are simply refusing to play a game where the prize is pain. And in that moment you reclaim the power you once gave away. Others may not understand right away. They might think you are angry or acting superior. But time will reveal the truth. Your silence is not avoidance, it is a mirror. It reflects what they have created without words, without judgment, just a calm and honest reflection. And when they start to feel that emptiness, that is when the real lesson begins. I have walked away like that before, no message, no last words, no need to explain. At first it felt empty, but gradually I began to sleep better. No more heavy thoughts, no more urge to be understood. I just felt light, because I finally realized that not every conversation needs to end with a reason. Some things are meant to end with silence. Perhaps you have been through a similar experience, such as a relationship conversation or situation that made you realize you had said too much. If so, share it in the comments, not to complain, but as a reminder to yourself that peace often begins the moment you choose to walk away without needing to be understood. And then, once you have stepped away from the places unworthy of your energy, something strange happens. In the silence, you start to see yourself again. No more noise, no more empty exchanges, and you begin to hear what you had long ignored, your own inner voice. From that moment, you are not just walking away from others, you are returning to yourself. And that is when a new chapter begins, growing quietly from within. Lesson 2. Grow in silence. After you walk away from the places that drained you, the first thing you will feel is emptiness. No more messages, no more back and forth words, no more noise from people who once made you question your own worth. That emptiness feels frightening at first, because silence can be more intimidating than any conversation. But slowly, you begin to see it is within that space that healing begins. I have been through that phase. Mornings when no one checked in, nights without messages, only the sound of the fan and my own breathing. At first it felt hollow, as if I had lost something important, but over time I realized what I had lost was not another person, but the weaker version of myself, the one who needed attention to feel alive. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Do not talk about your philosophy, embody it." That line feels as if it were written for moments like these. When no one is watching, you no longer perform at your best. You are left with yourself, and that is when the truth begins. You reread old journal pages, reconnect with your body, sleep earlier, wake earlier, and finally listen to emotions you used to ignore. No one praises you, no one notices, no one cares. Yet, every small act, such as exercising, reading a few pages, or staying calm during a tense conversation, is rebuilding your foundation. Like a seed buried beneath the soil, unseen but silently growing, you do not need to prove anything. Genuine progress does not require an audience. I used to share everything I was doing, a book I was reading, a project I was working on, an idea that had just come to me. I thought sharing would motivate me. But then I realized sometimes we speak not to share, but to be praised. And when the praise does not come, the motivation fades. Once I began keeping things to myself, my energy shifted. I no longer needed validation. I just needed to know that I was still moving forward. Growing in silence is not about hiding from the world. It's about cultivating a deeper connection to oneself. It is about focusing on the world within. It is when you understand that every actual change begins in the mind. Each time you overcome an old reaction, you have already grown a little. Each time you remain calm in a situation that once made you lose control, you are reshaping yourself. Maybe you are in that phase now, where no one knows how hard you are trying, where no one understands what you are rebuilding from. If so, write one line in the comments as a commitment to yourself: I am growing even when no one sees. Because actual growth does not need recognition, it only needs consistency. When you have learned how to grow in silence, you begin to realize something deeper. Outer quiet means nothing if your inner world remains in chaos. It is easy to stay silent with others, but much harder to keep calm with yourself. And that becomes the next challenge on the Stoic path. Mastering your emotions until you become unshakable. Lesson 3. Master your emotions, become untouchable. Some people do not need to shout, do not need to prove anything, yet everyone can feel the strength in their calm. I once met someone like that. In a meeting where tension was high and everyone was blaming each other, he stayed quiet, listening. Then he spoke a straightforward sentence that silenced the entire room. In that moment, I understood that the most incredible power is not in speaking louder, but in refusing to be pulled into someone else's chaos. I was not always like that. One disrespectful comment was enough to prompt a reaction. I wanted to show them I was not weak, that I could strike back. But the more I reacted, the more control I lost. I started feeling exhausted from my own emotions. Then one day I read this line from Epictetus: "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies our freedom." I realized I had lived my whole life without ever recognizing that space. Emotional mastery does not mean feeling nothing. It means being able to see anger approaching and choosing not to let it drive you. I began practicing in small moments, pausing for 3 seconds before replying to a message that irritated me. Those first 3 seconds were uncomfortable, but then something strange happened. The longer I stayed silent, the weaker my anger became. I began to feel myself reclaiming control. And once you learn not to react, no one can manipulate you again. Epictetus said that the only truly free person is the one who controls their own mind. As long as someone else can make you angry, you remain their slave. That sentence stopped me cold. I realized no one could hurt me more than my own reaction could. People can throw harsh words, but I am the one who decides whether to let them stay or not. I started observing my emotions the way I observe the weather. When anger came, I did not chase it. I noted, it is raining. Then I waited for it to pass, and it always did. Like a storm, no emotion lasts forever. When you understand that, you see that calm is not coldness, but the strength of someone who has stopped fighting everything. There are moments when a single sentence makes your chest heat up, your heart race, and your reason nearly vanish. But then you stop, take a deep breath, and choose to walk away instead of reacting. In that moment, you are not weaker, you have just reclaimed mastery over yourself. If you have ever experienced such a moment, share it in the comments. It is not just your story, it is also a reminder for those still learning how to stay peaceful amid the storm. When you begin to master your emotions, life becomes lighter. No one can easily control your mood anymore. No glance or word can steal your peace. But once you reach that point, another lesson emerges on how to maintain that peace for the long run. Because without boundaries, people will continue to test you. And when they do, if you are not ready, that calm can quickly collapse. Lesson 4. Set boundaries in silence. When you begin to stay calm, the world will test you. Someone who once disrespected you will say something to provoke you again. An old friend will message you to see if you are still as soft as before. And if your boundaries are unclear, the peace you worked so hard to build can shatter in seconds. I have lived through that. After a long period of silence, I thought I had become strong enough that no one could hurt me anymore. But then someone from the past came back, speaking gently, as if nothing had ever happened. I replied politely, and after only a few messages, I felt myself slipping back into old emotions. Anger, disappointment, and shame for falling into the same pattern. That was when I realized calm without boundaries is only an illusion. The Stoics did not set boundaries with words but with actions. They did not make announcements, cut ties loudly, or post declarations like "I don't need anyone anymore." They withdrew their energy quietly. They stopped replying to messages that didn't matter to them. They stopped showing up in places that drained them. They stopped explaining what others should have understood long ago. Epictetus once said, "No one is truly free who is not master of themselves." Mastery is not just staying calm, it is knowing when to walk away. You do not owe anyone an explanation for your silence, nor should you apologize for choosing peace. Absolute respect does not come from words, it comes from the boundaries you consistently hold. I learned how to say no without feeling guilty. At first it felt selfish, but then I understood that saying no is a way of saying yes to yourself. When you refuse what harms your peace, you agree to protect your own well-being. And once you learn to defend that peace, you no longer fear losing anyone. Have you ever been in that moment when someone said something that made your blood boil, yet instead of reacting, you stayed quiet, took a deep breath, and walked away? If you have, share it in the comments. Not to prove your calmness, but to remind each other that sometimes silence is the most resounding victory of a person who has mastered themselves. Once you learn to keep your distance, every relationship becomes clearer. Those who genuinely care will respect your boundaries. Those who only take will leave on their own. And when that happens, you will understand one of the most profound Stoic truths, that sometimes the strongest form of protection is not to fight, but to walk away in peace. That is why the next lesson is not about anger nor revenge. It is about the final act of a free mind leaving with serenity. Lesson 5. Leave with serenity. Leaving is not failure. It is a sign that you have become strong enough to no longer need to prove yourself. It took me a long time to understand that. I stayed in relationships, workplaces, and conversations that my heart already knew were empty. I thought patience was noble until I realized that sometimes enduring too long is how we betray ourselves. Once at work, I was belittled in front of others. The words were not openly insulting, but the laughter that followed made me feel small. I stayed silent, trying to act professional, yet a violent wave was raging inside me. That night I realized I was holding on to a place where I was no longer valued. The next morning, I sent my resignation. No bitterness, no explanation, just a quiet full stop, and for the first time I felt free. The Stoics referred to this as elegant withdrawal, a dignified and graceful step back. Not out of anger, not to win, but because you know you no longer need to stay. Epictetus once said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." When you let go, you do not lose. You choose not to be bound anymore. That peace does not come instantly, but when it does, it lasts longer than any apology ever could. Leaving is not an escape. It is your way of saying, "I have had enough." Not enough suffering, but enough maturity to understand that no one owes you respect, yet you owe yourself peace. Some doors close not because you failed, but because you have completed your lesson there. And when you walk away, you do not need to slam the door. Just step softly, let it fade into silence. I used to think that if I left, they would never understand me. Later, I realized they did not need to. Peace does not come from being understood, but from no longer needing to be. When you walk away without bitterness, you have already won, not over them, but over yourself. If you have ever walked away from a job, a relationship, or a place that exhausted your mind, share a few lines in the comments. Not to speak of pain, but to affirm that sometimes serenity itself is the greatest act of courage. And when you look back at everything, the withdrawals, the silences, the boundaries, the departures, you will see that none of it was loss. It was a journey of self-discovery, because these 5 silent moves, one by one, have not only changed how you deal with others but how you face yourself. When silence becomes strength. When you have walked through all 5 lessons, you will realize that silence has never been a sign of weakness. It is the meeting point between pain and self-control, where you stop reacting and begin to understand yourself. Every time you withdraw, you do not lose. You take back what you once allowed others to hold, the peace of your own mind. Withdrawal teaches you that not every battle needs to be won. Growing in silence teaches you that actual value never needs to be displayed. Mastering your emotions shows you that calm does not kill feeling, it redeems it. Setting boundaries reminds you that kindness only endures when it has limits. And leaving with serenity teaches you that letting go is not a loss but a return. Each lesson is a small stone, and when placed in the correct order, they form the foundation of freedom. Freedom from the need to be understood. Freedom from the habit of reacting. Freedom from conversations that no longer serve you. The Stoics never avoided the world, they learned not to be ruled by it. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Be like the rock that the waves keep crashing over. It stands unmoved, and the raging of the sea still falls around it." Life remains noisy, people still say things that sting, but you no longer sway as before. You observe, you breathe slowly, and you let the waves pass. In silence, you do not lose your voice. You learn to speak through presence, through energy. A calm gaze, a quiet action can carry more weight than 1,000 explanations. In a world where everyone wants to be heard, the one who listens to themselves will always stand firm. I used to react to everything. A wrong word, a cold look was enough to ruin my peace for a whole day. Until I realized that no one can take my calm unless I allow them to. From that moment I lived differently, spoke less, observed more, and acted from a place of stillness rather than anger. I remember a meeting where someone interrupted and tried to belittle me in front of everyone. That day, I did not respond. I looked at them and continued my work. When I left, there was no anger in me, only quiet. And I understood that not reacting was not a sign of weakness, but rather a sign of strength, because I no longer needed to prove anything. That was the first time I felt the true power of silence. If you feel this truth within you, write a few lines in the comments, not to tell a story but to make a promise to yourself. From today, you will treat your inner stillness as something sacred and untouchable. Even a single sentence is enough, something like, "I choose peace over being right." Sometimes a small reminder is all it takes to stay grounded in the midst of a storm. And suppose you wish to continue this journey with me. In that case, consider building your inner fortress, staying calm amid chaos, and finding strength in simplicity. Subscribe to Sovereign Stoic and share this video with someone who might need a moment of silence. Because sometimes a message at the right time can change the way someone sees the world. Thank you for staying until the end. When this video ends, do not rush to leave. Sit still for a moment, breathe deeply, and feel the space within you, not the space of loss but of strength. Because in the end there is nothing more to say. Your silence has become your strongest language.